Alright, this video is what an American thinks about Portugal. Portugal, I can't believe I didn't do this video. I thought I did this video, but I guess I didn't. Portugal, I was there like 10 years ago for just a couple of days. Portugal, I didn't go to the main Lisbon. I just rode from Spain, across the border, rode down Portugal, and then went back into to Spain. So all I saw was the rural part of Portugal. Portugal was, the land in Portugal is, I guess, similar to Spain. It's different from like France and England. It's kind of like, it's actually even different from Greece. It's just not very, there's not very many trees. It seems really deserty to me. Lots of just like rocks, you know, not even dirt, just seemed really barren. And it seemed really sparsely populated. So if you put like the barren rocks with the sparsely populated, yeah, it seemed really, it wasn't the same. Wasn't the same as France and those other countries that have forests. And it seemed kind of cheap, kind of like poor, like a third world country-ish. When I was riding through some of the cities, it had, their street lights were made up of cables that just went across and then had these really simple lamps that went down. Like, looked really old. The trash there was the worst that I'd ever seen until that point. One of the worst I'd ever seen. I saw trash, just piles of trash everywhere on the side of the road. Just dumped. I could have sworn I did this video. Oh my God. Okay. There was women dressed. When I went to the cities, the towns, they were all painted white. And all the towns next to the towns had these graveyards that were all surrounded, had this big wall around them that was painted white. Around the graveyard. And the towns, they looked totally deserted. I don't remember seeing anybody in there. I just would like walk down and I'd walk into a store, and like tiny little store. They didn't have, it was like a third world country actually, because there was no, just tiny little like cobblestone roads, or not cobblestone, but borderline cobblestone roads, and like I think just really narrow roads. And then you just go to a tiny little town, and the women were dressed in the like nuns, in these black robes with the big hoods over them. And yeah, just not people walking around. It was like I went back 2,000 years. All the buildings were like the same building, connected by one wall. Yeah. And I saw cactuses there, so it made it feel like I was in the desert. I think I remember passing through one village that had it was kind of like a town. That's the only town that I remember. But it had a big castle on the top of the ridge, next to a river in the bottom of it. But, and I remember it being cheaper. Like beers were like $3 at the cafe place. Seemed cheaper than like France or Spain. And then in the south, they had these plantations of these trees, these green trees. And I would camp in the tree plantations. They had tree plantations all over the place, but they weren't like totally jam-packed together. The ones that I went to, I'd sleep next to this big tree, and then way over there would be another big tree. But and then I left. Yeah, Portugal was a weird place. And I remember listening to their accent, which is kind of different too. Portuguese. Okay, so that's that.